So we need an example of a major city in an LIC or an NEE. We're going to look at Lagos. Lagos, southwest Nigeria on the west coast of Africa, Gulf of Guinea. We need to look at this major city, Lagos, and why it's important. We need to discuss why it's important regionally. Regionally, there's 21 million people that live in Lagos. That's a lot of workers. That's a lot of economic activity. We need to consider why Lagos is important nationally. 33% of Nigeria's GDP is generated in Lagos, and that's used for development across the whole of Nigeria. And internationally, there's an international airport which has got access to 60 destinations worldwide. That's a huge sphere of influence for Lagos. It's an incredibly attractive business environment. We've got to look at the causes of growth. There's several causes of growth for Lagos. Lagos is the city that just keeps on growing. It's getting bigger by 85 people every hour. First cause of growth, natural increase. Birth rate is higher than death rate. There's a 5.5% increase in the population every year because birth rate is higher than death rate. But we also need to look at migration. Push factors versus pull factors. People tend to get pushed out of the north of Nigeria, and they tend to want to move to Lagos in the southwest of Nigeria. That's a pull factor. So push factors, why we want to leave one place. Pull factors, why we want to go to another place. And we can discuss this through social opportunities. Let's have a look at access to services. Northern Nigeria, literacy, so that's education. Only 10% of people can read and write. Southwestern Nigeria in Lagos, 60% of people are literate and can read and write. So education's better. That's a pull factor. Let's have a look at healthcare. Northern Nigeria, 10% of the population receive childhood vaccination. Southwestern Nigeria, Lagos, 60% of the population receive childhood vaccination. That means people are going to live a longer, healthier life. It's great for the economy too, because it means they can work for longer, and that will attract investment. Let's have a look at some access to resources, more social opportunities. Okay, Northern Nigeria, only 10% of the population got access to clean water. That's inevitably going to lead to high rates of morbidity and mortality. Southwestern Nigeria, Lagos again, 60% of the population have got access to clean water. So it's a healthier environment. We can also look at energy. Surprise, surprise, in the north of Nigeria, only 10% of people got access to electricity. Southwestern Nigeria and Lagos, 99% of the population have got access to electricity. So this improves quality of life and standard of living. Okay, we can also have a look at economic opportunities, and we can look at how urban industrial areas are a stimulus for economic development, a boost, how they can kickstart investment. Well, there's 3 examples. First of all, we've got the Dangote oil refinery. In close proximity to Lagos, actually, there's 650,000 barrels of oil that are processed a day. That is incredibly attractive for investors because oil is a very valuable resource. We can also look at a district in Lagos. It's really cool. It's called Yaba. It's got a nickname, the Yabacon Valley, all right? Yabacon Valley based on Silicon Valley. It's a tech cluster, all right? Tech quaternary industry, incredibly profitable, incredibly valuable. Again, stimulates investment. And then finally, we can look at Nollywood. I'm not talking about Hollywood or Bollywood. I'm talking about Nollywood, creative industry. There are 200 films a week that are released through Nollywood. So that is another piece of the jigsaw for Nigeria's economic patchwork of development. When we're looking at urban growth in a major city, in an LIC or an NEE, we need to discuss some of the challenges. So Lagos is no different. So there's squatter settlements in Lagos. A great example is Makoko. Now, when we're managing urban growth, we need to know the numbers. At any one time, there could be between 40,000 and 400,000 people living in Makoko, but it's an illegal squatter settlement, so the government don't have to manage it. Another challenge is the hygiene, sanitation and energy production. Wow, 40% of the population don't have access to a toilet, and all the energy is generated by generators. That's a really dirty form of energy production. Let's have a look at access to services. There's not a lot. So services, we look at healthcare, we're looking at a network of unregistered informal clinics. There's only one primary school in the entire of Makoko for the community. So that's going to be really, really challenging to improve the population of Makoko's social mobility in the future. We need to look at reducing crime and unemployment. Wow, Makoko is self-policed by area boys. So that there makes it quite an interesting environment. Okay, let's consider some of the environmental challenges in Lagos. So we can look at managing waste disposal, because that's going to be difficult. Lagos has got a population of 21 million people. Only 10% of waste is recycled. A lot of it goes to a Lausanne landfill site that releases a lot of methane. Now, methane was going to have a fight with carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas. Methane would win in the first 10 seconds. It's about 100 times more powerful at trapping heat from the sun in the atmosphere. So it can lead to additional challenges like the urban heat island effect. And if we move forward, we can also look at water and air pollution. Okay, so let's consider this. Air pollution, the generators incredibly popular but incredibly dirty, releasing a lot of methane into the atmosphere. And in addition to that, we've also got the issue with raw sewage getting discharged into Lagos Lagoon. And Lagos is home to e-waste, where computers go to die, and that releases a lot of toxins into the atmosphere. And then finally, what we also need to look at is the issues of traffic congestion. And when we're looking at traffic congestion, that's always going to be a big issue in Lagos. It's got a population of 21 million people. There's 5 million cars on the road. 5 million cars, and they're old cars, so they're quite dirty. They pollute a lot of contaminants into the atmosphere. And actually, the environmental challenges will ultimately hold Lagos's economy back, so it can never reach its full potential. Let me give you an example. 1% of Lagos's GDP a year is wasted on people being sick, off work, because they can't go to work because of environmental challenges leading to respiratory issues, for example.